You've noticed the silence, haven't you? It's a heavy, weighted kind of quiet that has begun to settle over your life. For years, your world was a storm of noise, a constant cycle of fires you had to put out, people you had to save, and dramas that seemed to find you no matter where you hit. But something has shifted deep within your marrow. The very things that used to trigger your fight or flight response, the very people who used to be able to pull you into their whirlwind with a single text or a sideways glance, they don't have that grip on you anymore. You are standing in the middle of a room that used to be chaotic, and you feel nothing. Not anger, not resentment, just a profound, soul-deep indifference. This isn't just you getting older. This isn't just you being tired. This is a fundamental restructuring of your energetic DNA. You are no longer compatible with the frequency of chaos. You are sensing the change because your spirit has finally decided to reject the poison it was raised to believe was medicine. Think about your last few weeks. Have you felt that strange pressure behind your eyes? That sudden need to get away from everyone, even people you supposedly like? You've been sitting in rooms surrounded by conversation and feeling like you're watching a movie in a foreign language. You see their lips moving. You hear the gossip, the complaints, the petty grievances, and the manufactured outrage. But it feels distant. It feels thin. You're looking at the world through a glass partition. You are physically present, but your soul has already checked out of the Matrix's playground. You might have even felt a sense of guilt about this lately. You've been told your whole life that being a good person means being a fixer, a healer, or a shoulder to cry on. But now when the phone rings and you see that name, that person who only calls when their life is falling apart, you feel a physical repulsion in your gut. Your body is screaming no. It's a visceral, biological rejection of lower density vibrations. You're finding that you can't even force yourself to care about the things that used to keep you up at night. The emergencies of others have started to look like what they truly are: distractions designed to keep you from your own throne. Your sleep has been different too. You're waking up between 3 and 5 a.m. with a heart that is calm, but a mind that is hyper-aware. In those early hours, the chaos of the world hasn't started its broadcast yet, and you feel a strange, haunting peace. It's in those moments you realize that you don't miss the excitement of the struggle. You don't miss the adrenaline of the argument. You are being prepared for a level of power that cannot exist in a state of turbulence. The universe is scrubbing your palate. It is draining the swamp of your social circle and your internal emotional landscape. If you feel lonely, understand that it isn't the loneliness of the rejected, it is the solitude of the protected. You are sensing the change because the frequency you are now vibrating at is so high, so stable, and so crystalline that the jagged edges of chaos can no longer latch on to you. You are becoming unreachable to the low-level spirits that once fed on your reactions. You aren't cold, chosen one. You are simply becoming too expensive for the world to afford. You are finally realizing that your peace is not a luxury, it is your power source. And you are finally, for the first time in your life, refusing to let anyone plug into it for free. Why is this happening now? Why has the chaos that once defined your existence suddenly become so repulsive? You must understand that this is not a random shift in your personality. It is a divine intervention. You are currently undergoing a spiritual detoxification. For lifetimes, your soul was programmed to believe that your value was tied to your ability to survive high-stress environments. You were a spiritual soldier, conditioned to believe that if you weren't struggling, you weren't growing. But the Father, the Most High, has issued a decree over your life. The season of the warrior is transitioning into the season of the king and the queen. The spiritual cause of this sudden intolerance for chaos is the elevation of your light body frequency. Think of your energy as a radio station. For years, you were broadcasting on a frequency that was crowded, static-filled, and heavy. Because you were on that lower bandwidth, you were susceptible to the interference of every wandering spirit, every energy vampire, and every chaotic soul looking for a host. But you have been moved. You have been tuned to a higher octave, a frequency of divine order. Chaos cannot survive in an environment of order. When you move into a higher dimension of consciousness, the low-level vibrations of the third dimension literally cannot reach you. They fall off like dead skin. You are sensing this change because your spiritual immune system has finally matured. Just as the physical body creates antibodies to fight off a virus, your soul has created an aura of repulsion against drama. This is why you feel a physical weight when you walk into certain buildings or talk to certain family members. It is your discernment operating at its highest capacity. You are no longer guessing who is good for you. Your spirit is shouting the truth before they even open their mouths. The divine has placed a seal upon your ears and your heart. You are being closed off because you are being set apart. There is a cosmic law at play here. You cannot carry the burdens of the old world into the new kingdom being built within you. You were holding on to chaos because you felt a false sense of responsibility for the suffering of others. You thought that if you suffered alongside them, you were helping them. But the truth is finally being revealed to you. Chaos is a choice. The people in your life who are constantly surrounded by storms are not victims of bad luck. They are architects of their own destruction. They feed on the adrenaline of the crisis because they are terrified of the silence. The divine is detaching your hooks from their stories. You are being shown that your empathy was being weaponized against you. Every time you entered the chaos to save someone, you were actually leaking your royal oil, the very anointing meant for your purpose, into the dirt. You were breaking a spiritual law by trying to fix what God was trying to break. Some people are meant to hit rock bottom because that is the only place they will look up. By being their safety net, you were delaying their evolution and draining your own light. Now the universe is forcing the separation. This is why the arguments feel so hollow now. This is why you no longer feel the need to explain yourself or have the last word. You have realized that winning an argument with a chaotic person is like winning a race in the mud. Even if you win, you're still covered in filth. You are being called to a seat at a table where the conversation is about creation, not complaint. You are sensing the change because the frequency of the new earth is pulling you upward, and the anchor of the old matrix is finally snapping. You are free not because the chaos stopped, but because you stopped being the place where the chaos could land. When you stop reacting, the matrix begins to panic. Have you noticed how the people around you, the ones who thrive on drama, are suddenly acting even more erratic? It is because you were their primary source of fuel. For years, they looked at you as an endless battery, a chosen one, with a massive reservoir of light and emotional energy. They knew exactly which buttons to push to get a rise out of you. They knew that if they created a crisis, you would come running. But now that you've stepped into this new vibration of peace, you've cut off their supply. And nothing terrifies a predator more than a prey that has suddenly become invisible. The enemies in your life, whether they are narcissistic family members, jealous co-workers, or the very spirits that govern the matrix, are sensing your withdrawal. They don't see it as healing, they see it as a threat. To them, your newfound silence feels like a weapon. They are used to your fire, your defense, and your explanations. When you stop explaining, you take away their power to twist your words. When you stop arguing, you take away their ability to paint you as the crazy one. Your calm is literally dismantling their reality. Watch closely how they react. You will notice a desperate escalation. They will try to manufacture a mega crisis just to see if they can still pull you back into the mud. They might start rumors, they might attack your character, or they might play the victim more intensely than ever before. This is a spiritual test. It is the matrix trying to recalibrate you back to your old settings. They want you back in the chaos because as long as you are fighting them, you aren't building your kingdom. They are scared of you because a chosen one who is no longer drawn to chaos is a chosen one who has become dangerous to the system. You are dangerous now because you can no longer be manipulated through your emotions. The enemy's greatest tool is emotional tethering. They find a wound in your soul, a need to be liked, a fear of being alone, or a sense of guilt, and they pull on it like a leash. But as you sense this change within you, that leash has snapped. You are looking at their tactics with crystal vision. You see the manipulation while it's happening. You see the mask slipping in real time. And because you are no longer vibrating at the frequency of fear, their spells are bouncing off your aura. They are scared of your silence because silence is where God speaks. When you were loud and chaotic, you were easy to track. But now that you have entered the secret place of the Most High, you have gone off their radar. They can sense your power growing. They can see a glow about you that wasn't there when you were stressed and overwhelmed. They hate that you look younger, healthier, and more vibrant without them. They want to drag you back down to their level so they can feel better about their own stagnation. But you must understand, their reaction is proof of your promotion. If you weren't a threat, they wouldn't be trying so hard to trigger you. Every smear campaign and every guilt trip is just a confirmation that you have officially outgrown the cage they built for you. You don't need to fight them. You don't even need to block them in the physical world if the divine hasn't led you to yet, because you have already blocked them in the spirit. You are standing in your power, and they are shouting at a brick wall. Your indifference is the ultimate judgment. It is the final no that seals your liberation. Let them rage. The storm they are throwing is only happening because they know their time in your life is up. The truth that the world tries to hide from you is that your attraction to chaos was never a personality flaw. It was a spiritual hijack. You were born into a lineage that carried a frequency of struggle. This is the ancestral blueprint that told you peace was something that had to be earned after the war was over. But the divine truth is this: peace is the foundation, not the reward. You are beginning to understand the law of divine resonance. This law dictates that the external world must eventually mirror the internal state of the observer. For decades, the matrix kept you in a state of internal friction so that your external world would remain a battlefield. Now that cycle is being broken by a higher decree. There is a specific prophecy written over the lives of the chosen ones in this hour. It is the prophecy of the quiet dominion. In the old world, power was loud. Power was forceful. Power was chaotic. But in the kingdom you are being called to represent, power is found in the stillness. The scriptures tell us that God was not in the wind, not in the earthquake, and not in the fire. He was in the still, small voice. By losing your taste for chaos, you are actually gaining the ability to hear the instructions for your true destiny. You are being moved into a high-frequency sanctuary. This change you sense is the fulfillment of a spiritual contract. Before you descended into this physical realm, you agreed to experience the depths of human chaos so that you could eventually master it. You had to know the darkness intimately so that you could never be deceived by it again. But that contract has reached its expiration date. You have finished your internship in the trenches. The universe is now clearing your slate. This is why doors are closing. This is why old friendships are dissolving without an explanation. This is the great sorting mentioned in ancient texts. The wheat is being separated from the chaff, and you are being harvested into a higher state of being. Consider the geometry of your soul. Chaos is jagged. It is composed of broken lines and unfinished circles. Peace is a perfect sphere. As your vibration rises, your energetic geometry is smoothing out. You are becoming a conductive vessel for divine light. Light cannot travel through a medium that is constantly being shaken. To receive the downloads, the visions, and the wealth of the next season, you must be a still body of water. If the water is turbulent, it cannot reflect the stars. The divine is calming your waters so that you can finally reflect the heavens on earth. This is the metaphysical reality of your situation. You are no longer feeding the lower astral entities that survive on human discord. There are loose harvesters, unseen forces that profit from your anxiety and your heartbreak. When you were drawn to chaos, you were providing a feast for these parasites. By choosing peace, you are effectively starving the shadows. This is why the world feels empty right now. It isn't empty, it is clean. You are moving into a state of 0-point awareness. where you are no longer a victim of cause and effect, but a creator of your own reality. You are being initiated into the priesthood of Melchizedek, a lineage of those who rule through righteousness and peace. You aren't losing your edge. You are gaining your throne. The chaos was a distraction to keep you from realizing that you have the power to command the elements. But you cannot command the storm while you are afraid of the wind. The divine had to let you get bored of the drama. He had to let you get so exhausted by the theatrics of the matrix that you finally turned your back on the stage. Now that you've walked out of the theater, the real life, the eternal life, can finally begin. Now that you understand the depth of this shift, it is time to ground this frequency into your physical reality. You cannot just know this truth, you must become it. The activation of your peace protocol begins with a conscious decision to stop participating in the old simulations. From this moment forward, you must treat your attention like currency. Every time you allow yourself to be drawn into a gossip session, every time you check the social media page of someone who hurt you, every time you rehearse an old argument in your head, you are literally throwing your royal inheritance into the fire. You must become the gatekeeper of your own mind. The practical step for this new season is holy indifference. When chaos presents itself to you, look at it as if you are looking at a weather report for a city you don't live in. It may be raining there may be a storm there, but it is not your atmosphere. Practice the 5-second pause. When someone tries to trigger you, count to 5. In those 5 seconds, remind yourself, I am no longer a resident of this frequency. Watch how the power shifts from them to you when you simply refuse to provide a reaction. Your silence is a wall of fire that no low vibrational spirit can pass. Let us seal this energy now. Take a deep, intentional breath. Feel the weight of the divine settling into your bones. Divine Creator, source of all light and order, I thank you for the wall of protection you have built around my soul. I acknowledge that I am a chosen one, and I officially resign from the position of fixer and sufferer for the Matrix. I break every soul tie to chaos, every ancestral contract with struggle, and every karmic loop that has kept me tethered to the drama of others. I declare that my energy is my own, and it is reserved for my purpose, my healing, and my evolution. I speak to the spirits of discord, the narcissists, and the energy vampires. Your access to my light has been revoked. I am no longer your mirror, and I am no longer your battery. I stand in the center of my peace, a fortress that cannot be shaken. I pray for the strength to remain still when the world is screaming. I pray for the discernment to see the trap before I step into it. I claim my right to a life of quiet dominion. I welcome the wealth, the health, and the high vibrational connections that are now being drawn to me because I have finally made room for them. I am grounded in the earth, but my mind is seated in the heavens. It is finished. It is done. And so it is. If you can feel this shift, if you can feel the air around you becoming lighter as we speak, I want you to claim it. Type "I choose peace" in the comments. By doing so, you are not just typing words. You are signing your new contract with the universe. You are signaling to the divine that you are ready for the promotion. Do not be afraid of the bridge you are crossing. Yes, it is narrow, and yes, you had to leave many people behind to walk it. But the destination is a life where your heart doesn't have to race to feel alive. You are entering your rest, chosen one. The battle is over. You didn't just survive the chaos, you outgrew it. Now go forth in the power of your stillness. The world has enough noise. It needs the medicine of your silence. Stay in the light. Stay in the peace. You have been chosen for such a time as this.